Hey guys, I'm Aishador. This is the Blue Biker. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about how to upgrade your bike's braking system. And there are two reasons why you should consider doing this. One is if you feel like your brakes are not good enough for you. Whether this is because of safety reason or your peace of mind, it's always worth upgrading your braking system because the more confident you feel on the road, especially when it comes to braking, the better you will ride. The second reason why you should consider upgrading your braking system is if you are going to add more performance mods to your bike. Remember, it's fun going fast, but it's more important that you stop in time. And the faster you go, the better your brakes need to be so that you stop in time. With that said, let's get started. Before you go there, let's clear one thing up. Just make sure that your brakes are properly cleaned and serviced. This is very important because I've seen a lot of bikers that complain about their bike's braking performance, but they don't remember the last time they bled the system or they cleaned the brakes. How do you clean and maintain your braking system? It's very easy. You need something like this. There's a brake cleaner. All you have to do is basically hose down your braking caliper and brake pads with this and then use a toothbrush to clean it off properly. This will make sure there's no dirt and grime getting stuck in the braking system that might make it difficult to work properly. Second thing you can do is once a year or maybe twice a year, depending on your riding style and riding conditions, you should bleed the brakes. Just make sure it always has fresh brake fluid inside because brake fluid is I don't know what it's called, but brake fluid absorbs a lot of moisture. So if you live in wet conditions, then your brake fluid will go bad faster. Bleeding the brakes regularly and making sure the brake fluid is fresh will make sure you always get the best performance out of your OEM brakes. One more thing, just an add-on, make sure you have good tires because your brakes rely on the tire's grip to work properly, and if you have really bad tires that are hard compound or not that grippy, then your brakes, even if you have the best brakes in the world, will not work well. So before upgrading anything, make sure your tires are also good. If not, upgrade the tires. This will give you obviously more braking power, but at the same time it will give you more traction on the road and better handling of your motorcycle. The first braking upgrade that you can do to your motorcycle is upgrading the brake fluid. Now, this might not apply to a lot of bikers because some bikes come with good brake fluid, but some don't. Some bikes come with .3 or brake fluid, which is not good for most bikers who like to go fast. Problem with .3 brake fluid is that it overheats very easily. So if you are hard on your brakes for 20-30 minutes, the brakes will start feeling a bit spongy. In that case, you can go for .4 or .5.1. 5.1 is obviously the best, but it is slightly more expensive than .4, but I would always recommend go for .5.1. You might be wondering why I'm using .4 when I'm recommending .5.1 to you. Well, I couldn't find 5.1 in Goa right now and I had to bleed the brakes on an urgent basis, which is why I had to go for this. But rest assured, I'll be moving to 5.1 soon enough. About brake fluid, whichever one you pick, whether it's 5.1 or 4 also works really well for most bikers, but if you like going really fast, 5.1 is the way to go. Whichever one you pick, just make sure you don't put 5 in your brake master cylinder. 5 does not work for most motorcycles, and usually you can mix 3, 4 and 5.1, but you can't mix 5 with any of them. So stick to 4 or 5.1. Once you have upgraded the brake fluid, the next upgrade you can do is the brake pads. This over here is my bike's stock brake pad. It is a organic brake pad that came with my Adventure 390X. The regular model and the SW model of the 390 Adventure come with sintered ones, but the X one comes with organic brakes, and I hate organic brake pads. These are good for regular riding conditions, but if you like going fast and you want that aggressive braking feel, then these won't work because they have a more gentle braking performance. You have a gentle feel, you have a gentle bite, and yeah, they do stop the bike, but not as aggressively as sintered brake pads. Sintered brake pads are more aggressive than these and you get a better initial bite and better braking performance. Yes, they are sometimes a lot more expensive than organic ones. Like these things would cost around 300 to 400 rupees, the OEM organic brake pads, but sintered ones cost around 3000 to 4000 rupees. Over here, I recommend using EBC double-edged sintered brake pads or Brembo ones or Galfo ones. They are the best. Brembos are expensive, but EBC are the most common in India right now and they are very easy to find. If you want, you can check out the description. I'll leave out some links where you can find these parts that I'm showing you. You might come across something that is known as ceramic brake pads. Avoid them for two reasons. One, ceramic brake pads are racing brake pads and they need to be heated up to perform well. Otherwise, they just work like regular organic brake pads. Second, they are super expensive. And if you are thinking Vesera ceramic brake pads cost around 1300 rupees, I should just get those. Let me break your bubble. They are not ceramic brake pads. They are organic ceramic brake pads. They are a hybrid. It's just this organic brake pad with some ceramic sprinkled on top, metaphorically speaking, so that new bikers who don't know a lot fall for that gimmick and buy that. I've fallen for that. We all fall for it. It's okay, but don't fall for marketing over here. Stick to sintered brake pads. They are more than good enough for everyone, most bikers. Once you have upgraded the brake pads also and you still feel like your bike is not stopping like you want it to, in that case, you need to upgrade the brake lines. Now, personally, my bikes, I never had to upgrade them because my Dominar and my 390 came with steel braided lines. But if your bike has rubber lines, upgrade them with steel braided lines. Steel braided lines are slightly more expensive. You'll get them at LRL Motors or 66 bhp, I'm not sure. The problem with rubber brake lines is that under a lot of pressure, they tend to expand. Because it's rubber, it will expand. On the other hand, steel braid lines don't expand as much because it's the metal that is holding it all together. They will significantly improve the braking performance. Do these three things, the brake fluid, brake pads and steel braid lines, and your braking power will increase drastically, and that will be more than enough for you. However, if you still want more feedback from your brakes, in that case you need to go for a better master cylinder. This is an RCB Radial master cylinder and it works beautifully. I used it on my Dominar for a month, and this one does not fit on my KTM, otherwise I would have put it on already. This is amazing. It does not necessarily improve the braking performance of your bike, but it gives you a lot more feedback on your hand, so you know exactly what your bike is doing. Why is that? Well, this is a radial master cylinder and the ones that come stock on most motorcycles are axial ones. Now, there is a lot of physics involved over here, but in axial ones, the pressure on the master cylinder is applied in this direction, but you apply the pressure over here. But on a radial one, the pressure on the master cylinder is applied at the same angle as your fingers or the lever. This works out really well in giving you better feedback and slightly better braking performance improvement, but it's not a lot. Unless of course you are upgrading the size of your master cylinder. For example, if you are going for 14 mm to 17 mm, a lot more brake fluid is being pumped into the calipers that will improve your brake performance. But generally stick to OEM specifications because you have things like ABS in your bike and you don't want to mess with that. If your bike is 17 mm, get 17 mm radial master cylinders and you will notice a bit of an improvement in the performance, but a drastic improvement in the feedback. So these things are completely worth it. I would say master cylinder may not be worth it for everyone. It's good if you are looking for the creme de la creme of braking performance, but for most bikers, it might not be worth it. That is expensive. It cost me around 10,000 rupees and as you can see, I'm not able to use it right now. But if you want to help me and you want to purchase that, I'll give you a good deal. Just hit me up on Instagram and I'll sell it to you for a really good price. Another thing you may come across when you're trying to upgrade your bike's braking performance are brake discs. I would not recommend those. For one, they are super expensive. The good ones cost around 30 to 40,000 rupees. I did find one from RCB for 10,000 rupees like I'm showing you over here. But again, 10,000 rupees is not worth it for the kind of gains they give you. Brake discs work really well if you are riding your bike on the track and you want to shave off those precious seconds of your lap times, but on the road, the improvement that they give you is barely noticeable. That is why I've never bothered about upgrading my brake rotors. I do agree though, they look really cool, and if I had 10,000 rupees right now, I would get them just for the way they look, not for the performance they bring to the table. There's also this belief in the community that sintered brake pads eat away the rotors. Well, that is true, but the thing about that is the eating away process is so lengthy that it doesn't matter. If you install sintered brake pads on your OEM brake rotors, which are designed for organic brake pads, yes, the sintered ones will break them down faster, but that process will still take 3 to 4 years. So use those rotors for 3 to 4 years. When they go out of spec, replace them with the same OEM rotors that will cost you around 1 to 2,000 rupees and you're sorted for 4 more years. You don't need to complicate everything because it's just sometimes not worth it. I will sum it up everything that I said right now, and after that I will suggest you the biggest thing you can do to improve your braking performance. But before that, let's go over everything one by one. Get good tires, make sure your brakes are cleaned and serviced properly. Then get .4 or .5.1 brake fluid. If your bike has rubber lines, upgrade them to steel braided ones. Upgrade the brake pads to sintered ones from EBC or Brembos or Galfers. And then if you still want better feedback from your braking system, upgrade to master cylinder. In any case, just avoid brake rotors. They are not worth it unless you have some extra money and you want something that looks cool, because pedal discs look really cool. Now we move to the most important thing you can do to improve your braking performance, and that is not at all related to hardware. That is software issue over here. That is something that you have to learn, because you can have the most expensive braking system in the world, but if you don't know how to use your brakes properly, they are worthless. How do you do that? I have two techniques that you need to focus on. One is progressive braking. This is very easy, okay? In panic situations, most of us, when we are new riders, what we do is we just grab the brakes really hard and then we let the ABS do its work. You don't need to do that, because sometimes ABS can increase your braking distance. Also, if you are just grabbing your brakes every time, you are not a good rider. You need to learn progressive braking. Over here, instead of just grabbing the brakes really hard whenever you feel like you want to stop in an emergency, learn to first apply some pressure on the lever. What this will do is this will load up the suspension, this will put more pressure on the tires, and that will increase traction. Once the front suspension is loaded up over here, then you can grab the brakes really hard. Of course, you need to be more progressive with it. Like I said, it's progressive braking. But if you do that, I assure you, you will eliminate the need of relying on your ABS. Yes, ABS is good to have. I would personally never buy a motorcycle that does not have ABS, but that does not mean I rely on it completely. I want ABS to kick in when it absolutely has to, where my riding skills have failed. And if someone says that ABS is too intrusive on a motorcycle, let me assure you, they don't know how to use the brakes well. That is a controversial opinion, but you can fight me on it. The second thing you can learn is threshold braking. Threshold braking is something similar to progressive braking, but over here you just need to figure out the absolute limits of your brake. Once you have that figured out, you know exactly how much braking pressure to apply before your tires give out. Threshold braking and progressive braking, if you learn these two skills, you will be a much better rider than you are right now. And all the upgrades that you do to your braking performance will only build on that. To learn these skills, just go to an empty parking lot or a empty service road in your house. Spend 1 hour just constantly braking about, learn progressive braking, learn threshold braking, find out where the limit of your brakes are. Soon enough that these two techniques will become muscle memory. That's it for today. I'm Ashraf, this is the Blue Biker. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you have any kind of feedback, suggestions or comments, drop them in the comments below. I would be happy to address them. In any case, I'll see you guys soon.